Hey YouTube, it's Matt with Olympus Reptiles. I'm here at Manhattan Reptile World with one of our other owners,
Colin Cudney,
who also runs Classy Herbs. And Colin, this is going to be a video about selling anacondas, because Manhattan Reptile World, we have a bunch of anacondas that are captive bred. Let me reiterate that, not some captive farm bullshit, literal captive bred, born in captivity through a joint breeding effort through us and a subject in Kansas City. So they are ready to go. They've been feeding. But before we did that, in good conscience, Colin said, hey, we better show what these are, and I totally agree. So what do you have here?
So this is not the father, but this... So
Holy crap! Okay, the most athletic thing I've done in a long time, I did get a little piss off my shoe. That's all right.
This is part of why I wanted to show this. So this is not the father of the babies I'm about to show you, but this is more or less an adult male anaconda. So what you see right here is going to be what you get eventually when you buy one of these baby males. And yeah, that smells really bad.
Really bad.
Yeah, so the male of this was the father of this was a little bit bigger. But as you see, it's not a small snake. They get big and they are extremely strong, heavy animals. You see, I'm having a little bit of issues, honestly, kind of even holding him in place, because sometimes anacondas, especially even ones that are worked with, are a little bit unpredictable, and sometimes things happen, like what you just saw right there. Mm-hmm. Things can happen, and anacondas are one of the most unpredictable snakes I've worked with, but they can make really good pets if you're looking for something that makes something really, really big and really impressive animals.
Now, the last male we had, then we'll put this up, clean this up, and have a little cut before we get the other one out, was super, super friendly, right? So they can be really nice if worked with a lot, but not always. You can't guarantee this is going to be an easy-to-handle, friendly snake. And the last male we had, he's still doing great. He's a dad to these babies. How big would you say that guy was?
He's probably about 13 feet.
And he weighed well over 100 pounds.
Yeah.
He's a big boy. And with him, the gentleman that we did the breeding program with liked him so much that we ended up selling that male to him. So he is doing good. But we wanted to show you this one. Now we're going to put this up and show you a female for a little bit of comparison. And they're a little slippery too, because they do feel like rubber. They get wet. And then also just piss everywhere. So let's put that up and go to the next one. So we're back, and as you see, we've cleaned up all the pee, thankfully, because that was one of the stinkier pees I've dealt with. I'm not going to lie.
That was bad.
That smelled rough.
And that's another thing I want to point out with anacondas. They have a very heavy musk.
This is such a great salesman show. We're telling you every reason. Look, they pee on you, and they get really big. But
they sell themselves. If you want an anaconda, you want an anaconda.
I totally
There's no
agree.
doubt about that.
And truth be told, if you're just like, ooh, I want an anaconda as a surprise, you probably shouldn't get one, correct?
Yeah.
Terrible idea.
If you want an anaconda, you want an anaconda. But if you don't want a giant snake that smells bad, I wouldn't get this.
This is definitely something that I think you need to be prepared for and research before you get it. So tell us about the one you're holding, because this looks a little smaller than the other one, I think.
Yeah, so the reason that I pulled out our second anaconda that we have here is because I wanted to really point out the fact that I was holding before was a 6-year-old, 7-year-old male, which is more or less almost fully grown. This is a 2-year-old female. So the big difference between them is the massive sexual dimorphism. The females are going to get way bigger, 2 to 3 times the size of the males. And so if you get a female, you need to understand what you're buying. This is the heaviest snake in the world. Right. It's not the longest snake in the world, which would be the reticulated python, but this is the heaviest snake. They get the thickest around, they get the most heavy-bodied.
And I always like to say the longest known is reticulated, because where these come from, there's a lot of remote areas, and they're not that far in length behind a reticulated.
No. You're talking about 20 feet, so we're not talking about a small snake by any means.
And so there is a chance that one of these exists that's actually bigger than any reticulated python that we've ever seen. But there's also a chance there are bigger reticulated pythons we've ever seen too. It's just their natural habitat is very, very remote. Amazon, and we've only covered a certain percentage of the Amazon, so there is definitely that potential. And there's always the stories of the 40-foot snake. I don't believe anything like that exists anywhere in the world, but to find one of these that's pushing the upper 20s or even maybe hitting 30 in the right part of the Amazon, I would say would not be that out of the realm of possibility. Maybe not probable, but possible.
Yeah. And what I really, really want to stress is the difference between the males and the females, because, like I said, this is a almost 2.5-year-old female. So what you're about to see are going to be some babies that just hatched. Right. So if you do decide to get a female, you're looking at about 2.5 years to get something that is easily as big as I am.
And this is still a baby, let's be honest.
Yes.
I mean, it's like not even a teenager yet. So you're going to get a snake that's going to get over 20 feet long if fed properly and gain just massive amounts of weight and be this big around. Like that's, I mean, they're just huge.
Massive animals. The mother of these babies is over 250 pounds. And she is no joke. When you get her out, she is a behemoth.
And they're also, you know, when you talk about a female anaconda, they're a little unpredictable. And while I usually work with a lot of venomous snakes that make people get the willies because they are dangerous, a snake that big in and of itself is dangerous as well, correct?
No doubt about it. Just being around you. The reason that I'm holding her the way that I do and the way that I held the other ones and how I interact with all of my big snakes, if you were to put this big snake around your neck like this and you didn't really like have a care about it, even just doing this, you can almost feel them choking you out. She's not trying to constrict me. No. It's just the fact that they are so strong that it can get dangerous without them even trying to.
Right, and this is also a snake that you shouldn't put around small children.
No doubt about that.
I don't even need to point out why. And I'm not trying to fearmonger. Like, these are great pets if you're prepared for it. And they're not a man-eating snake, typically. That's not what these are known for. Is a potential there. I would say with these and large retics, it has happened, but it's usually small people. They're not prepared to eat a meal my size. Typically.
Yeah, they don't want to eat a person, but the idea of them actually killing a human is
it's plausible.
It's very within their own possibilities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, funny things we'll talk about, because every time anacondas are eaten, people are like, oh, they're going to eat you. Humans make crappy snake food. And then we are designed to be horrid snake food.
We've got these huge shoulders that don't bend in.
So it's very hard to get us to bend in. And you think, well, if they started the feet first, it'd work. And that's some truth to it. But the problem is when you start at a human's feet, they do this. And then we become very hard to swallow as well. So snakes eating people is pretty much bullshit. Not that it's never happened, okay? It has, but cows have trampled people. Animals that don't normally hurt people all the time. So it's very, very rare. So that's not the fear we're trying to monger. It's mostly just the sheer size and the fact that this is a snake you should handle with 2 people just because of the size.
Speaking of good things about the snake, though, I always want to point out the beauty of how they have this really orange underbelly contrasted to the top of the green and the spots. I really, really like the bellies on them. And if you've ever felt an anaconda, it's completely different feeling than any other snake you'll ever feel. This texture on them is almost like rubber. Like if you've ever felt a toy snake that's just made out of rubber, this is almost exactly what it feels like. Their scales are so heavily overlapped to be waterproof. They have like I said, a completely different feeling than any other snake you'll ever feel in your entire life.
And they're a solid muscle, too.
Solid muscle. One of the most muscular snakes you'll ever hold.
And one of the things I've always noticed about them, if you look at their eyes, their eye placement is a little different than other boas and pythons. Of course, these are a member of the boa family, but the eyes are very, very high up on the head. They're not sitting on top. They're almost kind of pushing that way. And that's because of the aquatic nature. That lets them pop that head up a little bit, almost like an alligator, see what they need to see, come back down. There's no heat pits, so they're going to have a very vision-based movement and rely on a lot of other senses. They can't sense heat like, you know, a python can being from the boa family. So the eyes are very, very important, along with that tongue.
Yeah, another thing
so slow.
About the tongue that's really cool, 2 things, like he just pointed out, the slow tongue flick is designed for aquatic sensation. Most snakes are sensing in the air, so quick tongue flicks are adequate. They have to really dangle that thing out there in the water to get a good tongue flick. And the other thing I'm sure you've noticed is its tongue is black, which is quite a bit different than almost any other python or boa, being that they have almost exclusively pink tongues. So no one really knows exactly why their tongue is black, but it is, which sets them apart from other things. And they have this really cool black eye stripe that kind of goes down to kind of match.
The other thing, too, I think is cool, if you ever see videos of these guys in the wild, you can have a very, very massive anaconda. And this color pattern on there with the black spots and the kind of that green, if you think about that in some murky, like, you know, murky water, which is where they like to be at, it just disappears.
Yeah.
And the way you see them is it's almost like, why are there like dirt moving on the wall? Oh shit, that's anaconda. That's kind of how that works.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. When these guys, when they poop in their water and they make a big mess in their water, they disappear. It doesn't even take more than just one of their own poops, and it's almost kind of crazy. I wish I could show that to you, but it's not really something I'd like to show as a dirty cage. But when they poop in their water, because they spend almost all of their time in the water, they literally will disappear in that poop water.
All right, so shall we get to what they're really all here for?
Let's do that.
You guys are here to buy some anacondas. Let's put this one up and sell you some anacondas. all the big snakes are put up. It's time to show you something for sale. I do like to use a hook for these baby snakes just because, let them know I'm not feeding them. Make sure they understand what's going on. This one is one of our best eaters we have out of the clutch. Of course, they're not really a clutch of eggs. They're a live birth. How you doing, honey? You gonna be good? We are. Give me that. Give me that hook. So here, I'll get her over here in the light so you can really take a good look at her. So what we have is, again, just a baby anaconda. Now remember, these are very young, and look at how big they already are. I mean, it's way different than dealing with any other baby just on the sheer size. I mean, retics get close, but this is a chunky baby. I mean, these things are awesome. And again, you can see they are pretty friendly if you work with them, as long as they know you're not feeding them. They're literally not just captive born, but captive bred. And I can't stress that enough. It's hard to find captive bred anacondas. Right? It is. So here's the deal, guys. We have got several of them up here. We have, I believe right now, a total of 14 babies. Only 11 of them are ready to go. Okay, we're still waiting on 3. We want to make sure they're eating for you before we release them. But we have 11 that are ready for sale. I believe that includes, what we say, 8 females and 3 males. So if you want the gigantic ones, we got 8 of those. If you want some a little smaller, we got 3 of those. So all you have to do is call the store, which is Manhattan Reptile World, numbers in the description, or reach out to Manhattan Reptile World on Facebook. It doesn't matter the sex, any baby you want is going to be $1,000. So that will be the going price, which is actually a pretty good price for captive bred, not born. These aren't something born on a farm and brought over here, but literally captive bred green anacondas. Just awesome. They used to be a lot easier to get, and then there was a whole thing with the Lacey Act, and they were taken off the Lacey Act, which is why you're starting to see things like this again, which is awesome, because again, it should come down to freedom of choice if you know what you're getting into. Right, little snake? Right. So somebody should take this snake home. When you call, we can tell you what they're feeding on. All the ones that are available have been feeding on their own. I want to stress that. The ones that aren't available yet are ones we're still trying to get to feed on their own. A lot of them are eating chicks. Some of them are eating fuzzy rats. So this one here is eating rats. So it is ready to go. As a matter of fact, on our Patreon page, we're going to try to show this one eating a rat and also give you the Patreon price because it's being released all over. There's not a waiting list that way because it's not our animals. It's through the shop. However, there will be a Patreon discount for these, so make sure and check that out. Kurt, anything you want to add?
So we have 14 of them.
14 of them.
And are there any different morphs in green anaconda or anacondas?
There's not a lot that I'm aware of right now. That doesn't mean there aren't some out there. I mean, I am sure with enough work you will find something, but I haven't seen any anaconda morphs per se. I mean, but pretty much every type of reptile has albino and has this and has that. So I wouldn't say that none exist. I would say there's none that I'm really aware of right now. That also, guys, though, remember, I am not an anaconda expert. I'm a crotalus and ball python guy. So somebody may correct me if I'm wrong and say, hey, I've seen, blah, 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 blah. So it's possible. Anything else?
No.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. We'll give you one snake close up, and we're going to go ahead and get on out of here.